Hey guys, how's it going, and thanks for coming. I'm Nick and this is Real Life Money. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos. So in this one, we're going over being a financial minimalist and how it helped change and better my life in 15 different ways, and how this could help you as well and learn a little bit more about minimalism. Minimalism is obviously a hot topic right now. It used to be called being cheap years ago, but now it's a financial minimalist. So let's get right into it, guys. So with number one, how it really changed my life, I guess the main way, there's a lot of main ways, and we're going to be talking about that. But number one is being your own boss. Now when I'm saying this, I'm not only saying like in a job sense, but you're able to just control your life more. Because when you're a financial minimalist, you know, you condense all your belongings, you don't need to spend as much. So in that process, you save more money. So because you save more money, you are almost partially financially independent. And I feel like that's what everyone tries to go toward, right? They want to be financially free, they want to have financial independence, and just leave all the corporate garbage out there and work for themselves. And this, I believe, is the first step. So I'm not saying to like flip off your boss and like spray paint his car, you know, you don't have to be a jerk, but you're just more flexible, I guess we could say. Because a lot of people, they're almost scared to talk to their boss, to their managers or executives. They're like, oh, what if I say something wrong, or I say something, you know, whatever, and I might get fired. When you have money behind you, and, you know, God forbid, if you do get fired, you could still survive with that money. Maybe not forever, that's why I say partially financially independent. But because you have that behind you, you're able to be your own boss. You could speak up to people like, hey, that's in a nice, productive way, but like, hey, this is wrong and I'll tell you why. Instead of just like being a slave and just doing everything everyone says, you can actually make your life a little bit more the way you want it to be. If you guys are interested, quick story about bosses. I used to work at McDonald's. This was several years ago. And corporate managers always used to come in every so often. And there was a couple employees that are scared of them. They're like, oh, hi, oh my God, they're here. You know, like executives, big people. And his name was Gary. I'm like, hey, Gary, how's it going? You know, more casual. Because, you know, they're a person, just like we are. And if you're not scared of getting fired by them, and you probably shouldn't be scared of being fired by them, because if you are, then you're probably doing something wrong. But you could just have a better connection and be an actual person when you're your own boss and control your life. Which would bring us to number two, is that you are now more in control of your money. And with that, it brings, obviously, control of your life, and it gives you just more confidence. Unfortunately, a lot of people out there, they're controlled by money. You know, like they can't, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't go there. When you have money, you have control over it, you could then control other things. Not other people, just the way you live your life. You're not so strict, you're not so structured, you could breathe a little bit. And being a financial minimalist, you know, you save some money, so you have that behind you. And I used to be like that, you know, I used to try to save every single penny I possibly can. And that's how money controls us. Now, you know, once you realize like you have something behind you, you're confident in yourself, you know who you are now, that's what really changed me, and now I control my money, and my life is definitely more flexible. Number three is going to be controversial, I know, let me explain. Number three is you could buy whatever you want if needed. Now I know that goes against like the core principles of minimalism. Like you shouldn't be buying a lot of things. You should be consolidating and, you know, like what you have. Well, understand that we do have to buy things, you know, whether that's food, whether that's shelter. Like you're able to actually use the money that you save wisely. I'm not saying like, hey, do whatever you want. No, that's dumb, guys. We have to be wise. But again, you're not being controlled by it. You can decide what you could do with your money. Which could then lead us to number 4. You are now in control. You could decide how to save your money. So, kind of going back to the idea, like, instead of trying to struggle for a few dollars, being a financial minimalist, and I believe everyone would love to be in this situation, which is why minimalism's catching on, is instead of scrounging for, a few dollars, you're able to decide and make decisions where to put your money. So you could decide, hey, I have $1,000, I'm going to save that. Or you could even invest in it. You're just like, hey, I'm going to take that $1,000 and now invest it. You might have multiple $1,000s. It's like, hey, I'm going to put that $1,000 there, that $1,000 there. Save, invest, and however you really structure it. You could use your money, save it how you wish. And I believe that's really in control of your financial situation, which is definitely an important part of it. I like the idea of dealing with bigger amounts, having multiple zeros at the end instead of having no zeros, think bigger. So number 5 is liking this video if you got this far. Well, the real number 5 anyway, guys, is not being controlled or not worrying about debt payments. Unfortunately, so many people are, especially people that are in like materialism. They're buying so much stuff on their credit cards, paying 15% interest or whatever. They're just buying, and they're just becoming a slave to debt, whatever that debt may be. When you're a minimalist, obviously that's the exact opposite of a materialist, but you don't buy that stuff. You no longer have debt weighing you down. You don't have to, have car payments or mortgage payments or whatever that may be. So I used to be in debt once. This was several years ago. I had a car loan. So quick story that I kind of wanted it just to like build my credit. I was kind of young. I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? And the payment was $200. So it wasn't like back-breaking or anything. But it just got to me because I was paying someone $200 every single month. And I'm like, yo, I've had it. I hate paying other people money. I'm going to pay this off. So I had the money in the bank and I just paid it off. And I no longer had that debt payment. And it just felt better. Because I focused on cash flow, if you've been watching my videos, that's what I'm all about. I don't care how much money you have in your bank account. You could have $1 million. But if your cash flow is like -6 figures, how long is that going to last you? So I would rather have more cash flow monthly so you could actually live on it. Number 6 way that changed my life, being a financial minimalist, is keeping a car that I love. Now, unfortunately, something that's really popular right now are leases. They have those, probably most popular one is 3-year leases, so they get a new car. Every time you see this person, they have a new car, and they're constantly changing. Form of materialism. When you're a minimalist, you would keep that, right? So you keep that forever and ever. You never have a car payment. You like your car and you just keep it. So if you guys are interested of what car I have, technically I do have a Lincoln MKZ. More controversy, I know. Luxury kind of car. Listen, let me go into this a little bit. I got it used. Obviously, that's probably the best way to go about any type of car, but we got it used so it actually wasn't as much as you would think. So many people are paying like $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. I have no car payment on it. Didn't, nothing like that. I had the cash for it, so I got it. And, I watch a bunch of, every so often, some like YouTube channels with cars. I did see a comment, some guy had a similar car as mine. They were driving it for 300,000 miles. I'm like, all right, that's my plan. I'm going to ride this thing into the grave, right into the ground until it dies. Because I like it. You know, it has everything that I want. It has the backup cam, has heated seats and all that stuff, GPS. And again, that's not really minimalism in a way, because, you know, it has all these things, but it's really the mindset that we have about minimalism. If you're going to keep that car, I'm not saying to overpay for a car, I'm not saying getting a luxury car, I'm not saying getting all these different features. Understanding that if you have that flexibility, you have the cash, you're able to. You're not trying to struggle or scrape by every single month, you know, scraping up every single penny. You want to be flexible and in control of your money. So that's why I made that decision. There's probably going to be questions about that. If you do, you could leave them down below. Tell me what kind of car you guys have. But number 7, and I think this is really the main core principle of minimalism and being a minimalist, and that's being content of what you have. You know, we've probably all been there. You bought something, you thought it was going to make you happy, it kind of did, then it got old. That's not happiness, that's excitement. You know, you get a new phone, you're excited for like a month, and then you're not. And that's with basically everything that you buy. So when you're content of what you have already, instead of trying to search outwards for happiness, you already have it. And I'll tell you right now, one thing that there's a lot of things that bother me, but I do want to put this out there. It's kind of getting into the holiday season. So Thanksgiving, right? If you're in America, you celebrate Thanksgiving, you know, you're thankful and grateful for all the things and people that are around you. Well, what's the very next day? And this is the most hypocritical thing that society has us to believe. The very next day is Black Friday. We're buying all these things that we don't need. Obviously, we lied to ourselves one day prior that we were thankful for everything when we're not. And that's obviously against minimalism completely. Like what you have. Like, be happy, enjoy, and be content with what's around you. But number 8, how it changed my life, or how I'm just living my life, I've always been like this, is you don't have to worry about shopping. And that's great for me because I despise shopping. I really do. It takes a lot of time and it's money that you're spending. So going back to the previous idea of being content with not only the things, not only the people, you know, the clothes and outfits that you have. So many people probably have apparel costs on their credit cards. That might be like one of the biggest expenses. When you're content with your outfits, you know, I buy things like once every 5 years. So once you have that outfit that you like, you could deal with it. I mean, I'm also a guy, so it's kind of, I guess, easier for me. I don't know about other people. But once you find that right fit for you, then you just rock it. Number 9, how it changed my life, being a financial minimalist, is it makes you more flexible with food. Now let me explain this a little bit, because obviously you're in more control of your money. You're able to decide what you want to do. You can decide making it your own, like making food for yourself, going out to restaurants. You can do this. We have to be wise about it. I'm not saying have steak every night. That's dumb. Don't do that. But because, you know, you've been saving through this process, you understand that you can be content with what you have. You could be flexible if you want to go somewhere sometimes. You could really, it really depends what you're feeling. Of course, be smart about it, but realize that you can really do what you want for your insides, for your stomach and intestines. Now, number 10 is something, for me personally, is the biggest thing that I enjoy. that completely changed my life and I didn't think I would even get here, is because when you're a minimalist, you're not going out and buying things. You're not watching, I guess TV, it really depends, but I guess you're kind of taking away TV because it does cost money. So you're not putting time into these things. So if you're taking all that time out, you have a bunch of time left over. And what could you do with that? So for me personally, it gives me more time for my side hustles and side jobs. And obviously, this is one of them. Having a YouTube channel has been ridiculously amazing. And if you got this far, guys, I really appreciate it. I never would have thought I would have over 2,000 subscribers. I beat my goal for this year. But you're able to help, it's amazing. Because you probably heard of the FIRE movement, trying to retire early. Because so many people are trying to work throughout their whole lives, and then once they retire, then they start living. Then they start doing things that they like. No. If you're a minimalist and you gain a lot of time because you're not just focusing on spending money, you could focus on what you actually enjoy right now. And if anything, I would highly recommend, this could be one of the top reasons why you could get into minimalism, because it gives you time to do things you love. So for each and every single one of you still watching this, you're making this even more worth it. So thank you. Number 11, being a financial minimalist, is you can choose to be generous. So we've been saying, as you're saving money, you're in more control of it. So now you could decide what you want to do. Now, I'm not only saying to maybe give to charities or homeless, or hey, you want to donate for, to help a puppy out? Yeah, here's $1 to help puppies, because, puppies. But it's not only a money thing, guys. It's also your time. Kind of what we just said, you have a bunch of time if you're not shopping for things. You can now do that to help others. You could be generous with your time. You could decide, hey, I'm going to use this hour for someone that you believe deserves it. You could donate your time. It's not only about money. Now, getting into number 12 is the idea of, because I've been doing this for several years now, so I have the experience and evidence to show you, and I'm able to give financial suggestions and recommendations and to help you guys out. Now, I'm saying those words. I'm not going to say a financial advice because I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not. However, because I went through that, I have experience with certain things. I might recommend things. I might just bring them up because I heard of them. So basically, the idea of going through this process, I've gained experience in it, and I'm able to pass that on to you now. How you could do that. How you could get out of debt, be more debt-free, financially independent, more in control of your money. And these are the stepping stones. This is what I've went through. I want to give you shortcuts. I've been researching for years. Now, I'm not saying I'm that old. I'm 26. But I've been researching it for several years at this point. It takes a while. So instead of having you, researching something for a year, if I could teach you in a video, that saves you time too. And then you could do whatever you really want with that extra time. Number 13, I think is very important as well, is that when you're a financial minimalist, you just attract those types of people. So, when you're just out spending all the time, you're going to be around people that are out spending all the time. They're not really trying to better themselves or their lives. So when you're in this situation, you're actually happy with what you have. You like, small things. You're probably going to attract other people that are like that. You feed off of each other. You learn from each other. And when you're like that, you're just going to be happier. Because if you're happy already and you meet someone else that's happy already, that's a pretty good person to be around. Which is kind of leading into number 14. I'm big into like consciousness, like being aware of just life in the world. I learned a lot over the years. Someone you should probably check out if you are interested in this stuff as well is Prince E, like EA. He has a YouTube channel as well. He's a very well-spoken individual, and he just like brings to light very important topics. So anyway, number 14 is consciously being aware of who people really are. So when you're not worrying about debt, you're not worrying about money, you're focusing on what you have and who you are. And I feel like that's what we all want. We all want happiness, and at the end, it might not seem like it, but I hope we do. You get to really step back and see who people are. You see their actions, you see their words, and you're in control of yourself consciously, and you're able to just observe not only people, but just your environment and your surroundings. It sounds kind of spiritual. When I first got into it, I'm like, oh, that kind of sounds spiritual. That's not, that's not real. But it's really a mindset thing. And when you're in the right mindset, you try to find people with similar mindsets. So once you're conscious, you look for other conscious individuals. You have to pick the right ones. I'm going to use the word selfish. And I want to explain that because selfishness has usually a negative connotation when it shouldn't all the time. If you're not going to be focusing on yourself, and sometimes other people don't focus on you, then who's focusing on you? So that's why you have to care about yourself. You have to do things for yourself. You do have to be selfish sometimes. So when you do work on yourself and you build, then you're able to help others. So I think that definitely helps. And if you made it to this, guys, I greatly appreciate it. I think that's amazing. But number 15 is, it just made me into a contrarian. I'm weird. I used to be called cheap. Now I'm a minimalist. Whatever. I'm almost the exact opposite of what normal is considered out there. Unfortunately. You're just doing opposite of everyone. You're saving when others are spending. You're happy when others are miserable. You're weird when everyone, it might be they're trying to be cool by being weird, but they're not different. Most people are all the same. They're still going to their jobs, living for the weekend, blowing the weekend on garbage stuff, and then going back to a job on Monday. If you're in that rut, you're normal. I don't care what you try to think you are. If you're in that situation, if you're in that routine, you're normal to me. But when you start thinking differently, when you start doing different things, when you're going through this list and living a life that you actually want to, that's a contrarian way of thinking. And being a minimalist is exactly that. You're weird. Hopefully that was a bit interesting for you guys. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns about financial minimalism, leave them down below. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Do you consider yourself a minimalist? Do you have any ways that really changed your life since you've been on this journey? So thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it, guys. And I'll see you in the next one.